Hello everyone. In my earlier videos, we discussed and shared topics relating to contract, writing of wills, copyright and others. This I believe would help law students and also all of you listening to me. So today I discuss an interesting component in our lives. It's called as land. Land law is a core module for law students, a complex area for legal practitioners, and I would say a must knowledge for all those of you out there. Land, as you know, is an interesting concept. It is a limited resource, and no wonder man has always had disputes regarding this. Now, historically, we have witnessed it. It's seen in all the wars and conflicts. And even today, you speak of the Russian-Ukraine war, you speak about the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, all in the name of war, to exercise power and control over it. In English land law, land rights have deep roots. Now for this, I need to take you to a bit of history regarding it. Now historically, or once upon a time, during the medieval period, or after the Norman invasion, or let's say during the period of feudalism, all of these are events very necessary for land law. Now during this period, it was the king or the monarch as representative of God on earth who owned completely the land. And he would give his subjects certain rights, which they in exchange would provide services for the king. Now gradually, the sovereign began to grant individuals certain rights. Now this was called as an estate in land. So students of land law, the modern law does classify estates into two, which is called as the freehold estate or the leasehold. Now what is a freehold estate? It is complete and absolute ownership and enjoyment of land for an unlimited duration. So if A has purchased a land in his own name for his own use, for his absolute ownership and possession for an unlimited period, he becomes the freehold owner of the land. Now let's come to leasehold estate. Now this is also a type of ownership where there is exclusive possession of the land for a limited duration. Now subject to restrictions, you could also have further sublease and subleases. So this brings to you the development of land rights and how transfer of rights could take place. This was gradually developed into common law. So common law began to provide essential rules and laws in place to tackle certain issues that came with the land rights. But not all situations were covered, and these could be rectified or corrected by the intervention of the law of equity. What is the law of equity? It is the law or rights that is determined based on fairness or conscience. So those defects which common law could not resolve was corrected or remedied by the law of equity. So in proprietary rights, we have two main rights, which is your legal right and your equitable right. Let me give you an example of a legal right. If A has purchased a land in his own name for his complete ownership and has got the title to it, that means he's got his legal right to the land, as well as his equitable right. But equitable right gets absorbed into the legal right. Now let me give you a twist and turn to this situation. Let's assume that A has purchased the land and he has got title to it, but it was funded by the money that was provided by B, where A and B had agreed that B would later on get ownership of the land. So in this scenario, A has got his legal right, whereas B has got his equitable right. Let me take the situation a bit further. Let's assume that A, after having the land in his ownership and possession for a period of time, refuses to give B the ownership as agreed earlier. Now, what do you think would be B's right? In common law, B does not have a legal right because it is with A, as he has the title to it. How would you provide a remedy to B? For B, the only area that he could probably resort to is his rights in equity. B would exercise his equitable rights and enforce his ownership of the land. So thus we see today in land law, it is a mix and match of legal and equitable rights. I guess those of you who are beginners to land law have got a brief introduction to it. But now, let me give you some terms that you need to be familiar with. And those words are, I give 7 of them to you. Let's start with word number 1, which is incorporeal rights. Incorporeal rights are rights which are intangible. These rights are not felt. You can't feel it. That means it exists. It could exist in the form of a mortgage. It could exist in the form of a lease. It could exist in the form of an easement or certain covenants on the land. Let's go to word number 2, which is corporeal. Corporeal rights are real rights. That means they are physically connected to the land. It could be the fruits that are available on the land. It could be the water, the minerals, or anything that you find or see that you can feel. Let's go to word number 3, which is easement. Easement is a right to enjoy certain rights regarding a land which belongs to someone else. For example, your right of way. Let's go to word number 4, which is lease. A lease, as I explained earlier, is an exclusive possession, your right for exclusive possession on a land for a particular period of time or a duration. Word number 5 is mortgage. Mortgage is a security for a sum of money borrowed in the form of land. So land could be a security for any amount that has been borrowed. Let's go to word number 6, which is restrictive covenant. These are covenants which are agreed in a deed that imposes certain positive and negative obligations on the covenantor. Remember, it is in a deed. That's word number 6. We come to word number 7, which is a fixture. A fixture is anything attached to the land. It could be permanent, it could be temporary. If you have a building on the land, it is a permanent fixture. But let's say you have a stack of bricks on the land erected for some temporary purpose. It's a temporary fixture. So the degree of annexation and attachment to the land will determine whether it is part of the land. So you have 7 terms that you need to be familiar with in your study of land law. So look up all these terms, and I'll see you in the next sessions with more topics regarding land law. Write to me if you have got any points or topics that you wish to further discuss. Bye-bye.